A 28 male lost my company, my sister, and gained everything back. I never thought I'd be posting here, but after what happened last week, I need to get this off my chest. My sister and I started a custom furniture business 4 years ago. I'm a craftsman. I design, build, and finish everything. She handles the admin, accounting, and client management. Her husband joined about 2 years in, supposedly to help with operations and scaling. We incorporated as partners with a 40/40/20 split. Me 40%, my sister 40%, and her husband 20%. I wasn't thrilled about giving him a cut, but my sister insisted he was bringing business expertise to the table. Fast forward to last month. Business was booming, 6-month waiting list, feature in a design magazine, and a contract with a restaurant chain for all their furniture. Things should have been great. Last Tuesday, I walked into our office for what I thought was a regular meeting. Instead, found my sister and her husband with a stack of papers. "We need to talk about restructuring," her husband said, sliding the papers toward me. They were trying to force me to sell my shares for what amounted to 3 months' profit, about $35,000. The actual value was easily 15x that. When I looked up confused, my sister wouldn't meet my eyes. Her husband leaned across the table and tapped the signature line. "Just sign here, you worthless nobody," he laughed. "You're just the labor. We're the brains." My sister nodded. "We've lined up manufacturing in Vietnam. We don't need your workshop anymore." I felt like I'd been gut punched. For years of 70-hour weeks, sawdust in my lungs and splinters in my hands. And they were trying to take it all. I asked for time to review with my attorney. They smirked, saying I had 48 hours before they'd take other measures. What they didn't know, 6 months ago, I'd consulted with an attorney about the business structure. There had been red flags, missing reports, delayed payments, questions about where certain funds were going. My attorney had advised me to quietly add protection clauses to our operating agreement. At the time, my sister and her husband had been distracted with buying a new house and signed the amendments without much review. I went straight to my attorney's office. After reviewing their offer, he smiled. "They've triggered Clause 23B, he said. "By attempting a hostile acquisition under market value, they've activated the nuclear option." What does that mean exactly? You now have the right to buy their shares at the same percentage of valuation they offered you. They valued the company at $87,500 for your buyout, so you can buy them out at the same valuation. I did the math quickly. I could buy their combined 60% for about $52,500. Is that legal? I asked. It's not just legal, it's binding. They signed it. And there's more. The clause includes a non-compete for anyone who triggers it. I've been saving for a house down payment, about $70,000. I could use that instead to take back my company. 2 days later, I walked back into the office with my attorney. My sister looked nervous, but her husband was smug. "Ready to sign your life away?" he asked. "Actually, yes," I said, and pulled out my own stack of papers. My attorney explained the situation. Their faces changed from confusion to shock to anger in seconds. "This is Bull's ******, her husband yelled. "We never agreed to this." My attorney calmly pointed to their signatures on the amended agreement. My sister started crying. "You can't do this to family," she whispered. I just looked at her. Exactly. After hours of arguing, they signed. I own the company. They were out, with a non-compete preventing them from competing for 5 years. I walked them out of what was now my office. As the door closed, I sat down and put my head in my hands. I'd won, but at what cost? It's been 5 days. My phone hasn't stopped ringing. First angry calls from them, then from my parents, then from mutual friends. What my sister didn't count on was that I had receipts, showing how they'd been siphoning money for their new lake house. Emails planning how to force me out. Texts between them joking about how I was just the help. I sent these to my parents and close friends who needed to know the truth. The calls changed after that. My parents apologized. Friends expressed support. My sister and her husband went silent. Yesterday, I got an email from my sister's personal account. She apologized and asked if we could talk. I haven't responded yet. The business is still operating. I've hired a new office manager and accountant. The restaurant chain contract is proceeding. I feel empty, relieved but sad. I got my company back, but I lost my sister. Maybe forever. Was I the a-hole for using their own tactics against them? First, thanks for all the support. This blew up way more than I expected, and your comments helped me process everything. After taking ownership, I found some serious BS. My sister and her husband had been telling clients production times would increase because the craftsman is having personal problems. Total BS. Rejecting major contracts without telling me. Charging rush fees to customers but keeping them off the books. The manufacturing partner in Vietnam was her husband's college buddy with a garage workshop, LMAO. I spent the first week doing damage control, personally calling our top clients. Almost all were shocked and confirmed they wanted to stay with us. The biggest WTF moment? Discovered they'd been hiding about $180,000 in a separate account I hadn't known about. My attorney is helping recover those funds. My sister's husband showed up at my workshop 3 days after the buyout, drunk AF. Kept switching between threatening to ruin me and begging for his job back. Recorded it all and called the cops when he wouldn't leave. Didn't press charges, though. My parents visited last weekend. They were upset, but admitted my sister and her husband were in the wrong. Dad actually helped in the workshop for a few hours, first time since I was a teen. My sister's been sending increasingly desperate emails. The latest bomb. They used their expected business income to qualify for their new lake house mortgage. Without it, they're screwed on payments. She asked if I'd hire her back, without her husband, or pay severance. Finally met her for coffee yesterday. She broke down immediately, saying her husband drove the plan, but she went along with it. He kept saying we did all the real work while you just played with wood, she said through tears. I asked why she hadn't stood up for me, her own brother. No good answer. Told her I wouldn't hire her back, but offered to buy their lake house at market value if they needed a quick sale. It's actually in a perfect spot for a second workshop/showroom. She seemed surprised and said she'd think about it. Hired 3 new people. Business is actually running better than before. Still processing my feelings about my sister. Don't think we'll ever be the same, but don't want to cut her out completely. Her husband? Yeah, he's dead to me. We'll update if anything big happens. Thanks again for the support. Holy crap. The company has exploded. After finding that hidden $180,000, I expanded the workshop and hired 2 more craftspeople. We're now a team of 7 with proper admin staff and a dedicated showroom. That restaurant chain? They doubled their order after seeing our first delivery and featured us in their promo materials. That snowballed into 3 more commercial contracts. Remember the lake house? It's now our second location, but not how I planned. More on that below. Converted it to a showroom/design studio and turned the boathouse into a finishing workshop. Our waiting list is still 6 months long, but now that's with 5 of us building instead of just me. Revenue has tripled since I took over. This is where shit got weird. My sister and her husband had a massive blowout that ended their marriage about a month after my last update. He blamed her for letting me win, and she finally saw what a tool she'd married. During their divorce, the lake house went up for sale. I bought at auction for about 15% below market. Felt a bit like a vulture, but it was a solid business move. My sister crashed with our parents while sorting her life out. After about 3 months of LC, she reached out to talk. We met for dinner, and she brought receipts, a USB with all the emails, texts, and docs showing how her ex had manipulated both the business and her. She wasn't asking for forgiveness or a job, just wanted me to know the full story. Some of it was genuinely shocking. He'd been planning to push me out almost from day one and feeding her all kinds of lies about things I'd supposedly said about her. Doesn't excuse what she did, but helped me understand the BS dynamics. About 2 months ago, she landed a marketing job an hour from me. We've had coffee a few times. Things aren't fixed, but we're cautiously rebuilding something. Her ex tried starting a competing furniture business despite the non-compete. My attorney shut that down with 1 letter. Last I heard, he moved states away. Bye, Felicia. This whole saga changed me. I'm more cautious about who I trust, but also more confident in my judgment. No more 70-hour weeks. I've set boundaries and built a team I can actually rely on. Take weekends off and even went on vacation last month. First in 4 years. Biggest lesson: documentation and proper legal protection are worth every penny. If I hadn't listened to my gut and talked to that attorney 6 months before everything imploded, I'd have lost it all. For anyone in a similar shitstorm, trust your gut, get everything in writing, and remember that sometimes the best revenge is simply crushing it on your own terms.